Diamonds are big as every time when you pass my room, you do me something when you can't. I'm trying to teach you, but I need somebody. Welcome to my channel, Black of the Berry, where life is sweet because we keep it real. Today we are doing another reaction video. I am going to be reacting to a true crime. I'm gonna pick it at random. I already know what page I'm gonna go to, but this I really enjoy stuff like this. Like, I love suspense thriller, but I don't like horror though. I'm not a horror type of girl, but I fuck with the suspense and stuff like that. So I'm gonna find a good video real quick. I'm gonna look up I got my list right here. Hold on. Let me see. I work at 4 o'clock. It is 2:30 right now. 2:43. So this is Husband's Murder Plot Unraveled by One Small Error. So this is from the Decoder.
She said someone had broken into the house and Thomas's wife, the kid's mother, had been murdered.
What did the robber look like?
He was like her dad.
But this was no freak attack. Kelly Clayton had been targeted. There was no sign of forced entry and nothing had been stolen. So how had the attacker gotten in, and why? Phone records and a history of aggression would reveal the dark secrets at the heart of this case and the conspiracy to kill loving wife and mother, Kelly Clayton. Mother, Kelly Clayton. So who was Kelly Clayton?
Kelly?
Born Kelly Stage in August 1980, Kelly was from Elmira, New York. She had two older siblings, a brother and a sister. Her father was a fire chief with the West Elmira Volunteer Fire Department, and he was also dedicated to leading and coaching local community sports. Her father's enthusiasm for sport was infectious, and Kelly herself went on to lead an active life. At Elmira Free Academy, she was on the cheerleading squad and the softball team, and she graduated in 1998 as an honor roll student. Kelly continued her academic achievements at the State University of New York, based in Oneonta.
Oh shit!
After
I
college,
to that school.
she moved to Las Vegas, working as a cocktail waitress and enjoying the hustle and bustle. She stayed in Nevada for a time before returning to her home state. And it was back in Elmira that Kelly met her future husband, Thomas Clayton. Thomas was born in Binghamton, New York in 1978. His father worked as a landscaper, and his mother ran a food services company. And by all accounts, it was an ordinary childhood.
Right. Hello.
Thomas was well-liked and an average student. Where he excelled was sports. Enough that a sports career was not a remote dream.
Who else sees it? I don't want to be judgmental here, right? But that picture that I just saw a while ago, I didn't like it. He gave me a vibe.
But a real possibility. Thomas was well-liked and an average student. Where he excelled was sports. Enough that a sports career was not a remote dream, but a real possibility. He spent most of his time in high school playing hockey, and Thomas continued to play at college. He went to Niagara University in Buffalo. When he graduated, Thomas was immediately recruited to a minor league team, the same team that would send him to Kelly's hometown, Elmira, New York, the Elmira Jackals. The Jackals were a new team. They had joined the United Hockey League in 2000, only 2 years before Thomas was...
I'm from New York too, but I'm from New York City. Okay? I'm not from up that stuff. So I don't know Elmira. I know I know the school that he went to because it's one of the SUNY schools. And I know Oneonta because my little sister went there, but I don't know about any of these places.
Recruited to join the roster. But they had good players, and Thomas saw it as his route into the hockey world. I wanted to pursue a career in hockey, he was quoted as saying by the Elmira Star-Gazette in 2014. Hockey was his life, and he was passionate about it, even aggressive. One of his teammates said, Thomas wasn't the biggest guy, but he played like he was. He would do whatever it took to win. This was a regular part of hockey playing. It's a scrappy sport, and in the professional world, winning a game can mean everything for a player's career. But there was one occasion when Thomas's aggression spilled off the ice and into everyday life. Thomas was close with one of his teammates, Brad Wingnut Wingfield. Brad would go on to have his own aggressive reputation. In 2004, an opposing player broke Brad's leg on the ice.
I remember hearing it snap like a pretzel rod. It was insane.
It was feared that the injury would end Brad's career, and he carried a grudge.
Ooh.
In December the following year, Brad took his revenge.
It was a bloodbath, man.
Brad's team, the Danbury Trashers, were playing the team that had broken his leg.
He was just, I'll never forget, just rocking. Winger's a madman.
Midway through the game, a brawl started on the ice, and Brad saw his chance. He went for the player who had broken his leg the year before.
He was dropping bombs, hammers on this kid, pulling his, he had long hair, pulling.
And I heard that hockey players, not to say all of them, but they have a lot of aggression. Like they're very angry, you know, they're rough. So that's kind of, you know, and I'm not saying rough as in like, oh, like men or whatever, but they're aggressive, right? The sport itself is crazy. So them, I feel like football players, any sport where you have to wear so much protective gear, something is wrong with you. If you purposefully put all of that stuff on to go, like, what the hell? You got something's up with you too. I'm sorry. It's a great sport and y'all making y'all money, y'all doing y'all thing, but honestly, like, bro, y'all gotta look at what the hell they gotta dress up in, like, because they're trying, and he still had gotten his leg broken. Like, come on, this is ridiculous.
His hair, kneeing him.
Brad was removed from the ice and given a game misconduct. But he wasn't done.
Yo.
I don't think anything was going to satisfy his thirst for revenge.
While brawls on the ice weren't uncommon, Brad's targeted, vengeful behavior spoke to a deeper source of aggression. And Thomas seemed to share his friend's willingness to fight. In 2003,
they're friends.
the pair got into a fight with 4 police cadets at an Elmira bar.
I thought he was the suspect.
The brawl apparently started because of Thomas's own lewd behavior, including dancing almost naked on tabletops. They took the fight from inside the bar out onto the street, and the cops were called. Brad was charged with felony assault, and Thomas was charged with public lewdness and harassment. This disruptive, aggressive behavior was for Brad a sign of things to come. But what did it mean for Thomas?
It broke him loose.
So mad, you just want to, you want to drop your guards, you want to fight someone.
Thomas was still playing hockey when he met Kelly.
A lot of times, it's like people change, and you wonder, like, yo, they were never like that. How did they end up like that? Why did they? They were always like that. But it took that person to draw it out of them, right? So maybe that's what this is here, because I don't know what happens in the end, but the synopsis that I'm getting is that he killed his wife, right? Husband's murder plot. So maybe that situation just unlocked the schizo, or I'm sorry, the whatever it is, mental issue in his head that made him want to just go on this spree.
Her friend worked at the bar where the team hung out,
whatever,
and she introduced the two. Kelly was a supportive partner from the very beginning, always attending Thomas's games. But it was a taxing life. Thomas said in a 2014 interview, the minors is not all glory like the NHL. You're riding on buses many hours and many days. At that point in my life, I had to make a decision. Did I want to bounce around the minors or start a family and do other things? So in 2006, Thomas retired from his hockey career and settled down with Kelly. They moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where Thomas bought multiple properties and set up a taxi business specifically catering to people who had drunk too much to drive themselves home. They had the first of their 2 children, Charlie, and for a while they lived in domestic bliss. In 2011, a year or so before they had their second child, Cullen, they moved back to New York. Thomas got into the home restoration industry. He started a business called ServPro with a friend, specializing in water, fire, and mold damage. Kelly, meanwhile, worked waiting tables at the Woodhouse Stadium Grill. To supplement their income, the couple bought more multi-unit rental properties. The couple seemed to work well together, managing their finances and their busy lives as parents. From the outside, this active couple and their children made a model family in their home in Caton, New York.
Notice what this man just said? On the outside. I'm telling you, you guys have no idea how many people that you see every day, and they make themselves seem like they're one thing, but they're living a whole nother life. And, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is, you know. Not everybody's perfect, and, you know, it is what it is, but you don't gotta fake it for people. Like, we going into 2025. Please, if y'all, whoever's stopping on this video right now, and even to myself, you know, because I fight with that too, but stop caring what people think. You don't need to care. That's why I'm making this video now, because I always think about what people think or what they're gonna say or whatever. I learned to let it go and turn the freaking camera on, and you know, I'm happy with my decision so far. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see how far it goes, but you know, don't care what nobody thinks. If you're not happy or whatever the case may be, because before this even gets down to the nitty gritty or whatever the case may be, we all get signs, yo. Me, myself, we don't listen to them. I don't listen to them, and then later on you're like, damn, you know. But hopefully it doesn't get to this extent with anybody that is watching me now. But listen to your mind, yo. Listen to that third eye, or I'm sorry, listen to that inner person, that intuition. Listen to that, please, because it's always right, especially females. Men have intuition too, don't get me wrong, they do. Some of them, especially when they're into themselves, they definitely do. But girls, you already know.
Seemingly happy family life was soon to be torn apart. Everything changed on the night of September 28, 2015. It was a muggy, hot evening, and there was a tropical storm on the horizon. Kelly was at home with the kids, who were 5 and 2 respectively. Thomas, meanwhile, was out playing poker.
Of course.
He had a standing arrangement with some friends and neighbors, and he rarely missed their weekly Monday poker game. Tonight was no exception. The game proceeded the way it usually did, and no one who attended remembers anything out of the ordinary. At one point during the evening, one poker player mentioned he was expecting a delivery of a large supply of deer blinds. Deer blinds are camouflage cabins used by hunters to disguise them from wildlife. They each weigh about 300 pounds, so the poker player would need help carrying them. Thomas said he knew someone who would help, so he used the host's phone to call a guy he knew, supposedly offering him the job. This ordinary exchange would become key in the events that followed, but at the time, no one knew any better. At midnight, Thomas drove home and found his life forever altered. At around 12:30 a.m., Thomas entered his darkened living room. He found Kelly on the floor with a head wound and a large pool of blood around her. She had been viciously attacked. Kelly was dead.
Damn, girl.
There had been a struggle. The fight had awakened Charlie, who told his dad there had been a robbery. Thomas, with his wife dead on the floor, called 911. Kelly was dead. There had been a struggle. The fight had awakened Charlie, who told his dad there had been a robbery. Thomas, with his wife dead on the floor, called 911.
Help me, my wife's dead.
How long has she been down?
I don't know, I just got home.
When police arrived at the house, they found a horrific murder scene.
Blood spatter blood on the wall. Want to make sure there's no forced entry anywhere else. I didn't see any. Did you?
Of course, there's no forced entry. Come on now.
Wondering if he had a domestic.
Yeah.
She face planted.
Right.
Yeah. Boom.
Right.
Then he puts her
Right.
in her face. You can see how her face is beat in.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Husband.
Someone had attacked Kelly in the master bedroom. She had fought back and tried to escape, so they chased her down the hall, down the stairs, and into the living room. There was a hammer-sized hole in the wall and blood everywhere.
That's a head-sized hole in the wall.
Kelly had been killed with a fiberglass handle of a maul hammer.
What?
The police took Thomas outside.
I want you to have a seat. You don't need to see that anymore, okay?
He was agitated and they tried to calm him down.
Just take some deep breaths, okay? I know, yeah. Just take some deep breaths and stuff. Just try to stay calm.
They needed to give Thomas clarity on what had happened, since the only other witness was a 7-year-old girl. But Thomas insisted that he had been out all evening, that he came home to find his wife dead and didn't know what had happened to her.
You heard that little girl said in the
police
beginning?
didn't believe him.
She said the suspect looked like her daddy.
He has no blood on him. I checked. I don't know.
There were no signs of forced entry at the house.
Right, even if you went in there, there's no, like, you didn't even touch her, like, there's no blood, no nothing on you, like, come on, bro. What the heck is going on right here in front of my head?
House, and one of Kelly's expensive purses was hanging on the landing on the stairs. It hadn't been taken, but Thomas had an alibi. Multiple witnesses placing him at the friend's poker game at the time of the attack. Nevertheless, Thomas was taken into custody the following morning. He maintained his innocence, but the most damning evidence of all was soon to emerge: the testimony of his own 7-year-old daughter. Charlie had been wakened by the commotion. Her mom had come into her room and told her to run before a man chased her down the stairs, brandishing what Charlie said looked like some sort of pipe. Charlie watched the robber leave through the garage after the attack on Kelly, and then she sat with her mom.
She was so
Oh my God!
I tapped her with the hockey stick. Then I hugged her leg.
Where was Mom when you hugged her?
Laying down in the kitchen with the other.
When she was asked what the robber looked
What
like,
the
she
hell?
said,
Could have been my dad.
What the hell? Did y'all hear that little girl? Yo, she said she tapped her with the hockey stick like she was just trying to see if her mom was alive or dead. Look at how calm she is. Wow, she's strong as well.
He looked like my dad.
How did he look like your dad?
The mask and his shoes.
Have you seen anybody wear that mask before?
My dad.
Did the robber say anything?
Every question I asked her related back to Dad.
How can you possibly kill the mother of your children in front of them? Because he knew the little girl was there, but he had to get the job done. Boy, man, telling us wickedness.
And then she looks at me, she goes, but it couldn't have been Daddy, because then who would take care of us?
Yeah.
Thomas's daughter wouldn't suspect him of the murder by accident. The revelation meant Thomas's alibi needed a closer look. So the police interviewed the attendees of the poker game, and the host recalled lending Thomas her phone to call someone about the deer blinds. When they examined her phone, they found that the number had been deleted. But Thomas's attempt to cover his tracks was not enough. The police were able to recover the deleted number, and it led them to Michael Beard. Michael Beard was a laborer who lived in Elmira Heights. Thomas was his landlord and also his employer at ServPro. Michael had recently been fired for stealing items from clients' homes, and he was facing eviction. Nonetheless, Thomas appeared to trust him enough to have him at the Clayton house doing odd jobs, including babysitting the kids.
What?
But it was a different sort of job that Michael would be.
Babysitting whose kids? Babysitting whose kids? That nigga? Kelly fucked up right here too.
Doing on the night of September 28th.
He could not come in my house.
On October 3rd, Michael was arrested and charged with murder in the 2nd degree. It didn't take investigators long to get him to confess.
Whatever.
He said he was desperate for money since he'd been fired and that Thomas had offered him $10,000 in cash to kill Kelly Clayton. There was now a premeditated murder for hire case implicating both parties in first-degree murder. Michael revealed that Thomas had planned Michael's movements in advance. Thomas had swapped vehicles with another friend and gave Michael the friend's red Ram truck. He had also left Michael a key to the house in the garage. Phone records documented Thomas calling around local properties asking about the status of their surveillance cameras. He also called Michael several times in the lead-up to the murder. At around 11 p.m., Michael's wife witnessed him leaving their house on a bike. From there, Michael picked up the truck and drove it to Thomas and Kelly's house, stopping on the way to pick up a friend.
To the truck, to the destination is crazy. He not paying you enough, bro. Look at the job that you picked up, and you got to take a bike to the truck to the destination. Whoop them, lock them up for life.
Mark Blandford. Mark stayed in the truck and acted as lookout as Michael went into the house to commit the crime he had been commissioned for.
What the hell?
Kelly Clayton's awful murder. Michael told the police where to find the murder weapon, which he had thrown off the side of the road in a nearby town. He also led them to the swamp where he had hidden a bag containing the bloodied clothes he had worn that night and helped them find the spare house keys, which he had thrown into a creek in his own neighborhood, Elmira Heights. But there was more. Michael claimed he hadn't fully completed the task that Michael had set him, to burn the house down.
The kids were in that house. That just gave me chills. The last step of the task was to burn the house down. And he was gonna do it if that little girl didn't wake up. I bet that's what he's gonna say, because the little girl woke up, that's what stopped him. That's disgusting. He didn't even care about them damn kids, yo.
Was supposed to kill Kelly or at least knock her out while she slept. Then, he said, Thomas had intended for him to set the room ablaze using nail polish remover as an accelerant and a candle on the nightstand to light it. Thomas knew his children would be in the house that night.
That's evil.
We don't know why Michael didn't follow through with Thomas's arson plan that night.
Maybe because he had a little bit of heart. Unlike the person that freaking hired him. Even though he did one bad task, he couldn't kill the kids like their own freaking father. Yo, these people, that's sick, bro.
Perhaps he saw Charlie awaken in the struggle and couldn't go through with setting the house on fire with children in it.
That's what I think too.
All we know is that the children had a lucky escape. But why? Why would Thomas want to kill his wife, who had supported him through both his hockey and business careers? The answer was horribly simple. At trial, multiple women came forward to say they'd been having affairs with Thomas. These women included one of Kelly's close friends, an insurance agent, and a 15-year-old.
And okay, so you heard that, right? Homeboy was in multiple affairs. One being a friend and one being a fifth. And I tell one me here right now. Why did she have to die? I don't get that. Like, Why did you have to kill her? Rewind it real quick.
At trial, multiple women came forward to say they'd been having affairs with Thomas. These women included one of Kelly's close friends, an insurance agent, and a 15-year-old.
Insurance agent. So that probably means that the woman probably will take out life insurance policy. No, we're guessing. Because this is the part, that's what I like about reactions, because we're reacting, but we're also pulling our own plot together, right? I bet you she's a life insurance agency. They set up a life insurance on Kelly if it's an accident. They do whatever, burn down the house, so it looks like an accident. Get the money, right? I solved the shit. It's over. The 15-year-old,
The insurance agent testified that she had a threesome with Thomas and another woman, and that Thomas had chatted with her freely about Kelly, describing his wife as lazy. He said he couldn't divorce her because she would take everything. Thomas was greedy and money obsessed. Just a year before the murder, Thomas had increased Kelly's life insurance policy from $500.
What I said, life is sweeter when you keep it real. I told you, I can't see right through this.
$100,000 to $1 million. A few weeks later at Christmas, he told Kelly's niece that it would be the last Christmas with me around and us being together as a family. These signs all pointed to a murder that had been premeditated for a very long time. Kelly and Thomas's marriage had crumbled to the extent that Thomas was searching for ways to get rid of her while pocketing the cash. Michael Beard was the perfect patsy. Michael went to trial in November 2016. By then, he'd changed his story, saying instead that Thomas had paid him to burn his house down as part of an insurance scam. He said he had arrived at the house, but backed out when he found a robbery had taken place and that Kelly had been murdered. He was pleading not guilty. But Michael had already confessed before a grand jury, and this confession would not be easily ignored. On the stand, he claimed he had been intimidated by the investigators into confessing. The reason for his DNA on the murder weapon, he said, was that the robber had handed it to him before fleeing the scene. The jury found this hard to believe. They convicted him on one count of first.
One thing about black people, you know, we can't tell story, you know? Oh,
degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Very good.
His lookout, Mark Blanford, was also convicted. Sentenced for...
Look, you never watch Ice Age? Sid the Sloth. See him right there, sir. Sid the Sloth. What was he even doing there? It looks slow, don't? He looks like a slowpoke, bro. Why were you even there? You just put yourself here. You just got locked up for no reason. You going to jail for the rest of your life for no reason. Why did you get in the car? Why did you go with him and you knew what he was going to go do? Or you wanted part of the mill? Okay.
3 to 6 years in prison for his role in the killing.
How much
he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. His lookout, Mark Blanford, was also convicted, sentenced for 3 to 6 years in prison for his role in the killing. Michael, behind bars, would go on to change his story yet again. He claimed that Thomas had been hiring him for casual work because he'd been fired and needed money, and that the call on the night of September 28th was an invitation to do more odd jobs in the house that very evening. He said he went to the house and found Kelly's body. He didn't call the police, he said, because he was scared of what it might look like. Now, Michael claims to believe that Thomas was trying to frame him. Because Michael had withdrawn his confession, prosecutors couldn't use it at Thomas's trial. They had to rely on circumstantial evidence such as phone records and testimony from the poker game. But in the end, this was enough. Thomas Clayton was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole.
No
This
parole
once
for you
promising
either.
hockey star had let his aggressive impulses and greed get the better of him, with tragic consequences.
Oh my nice
What
man.
do you think about this awful story? What do you make of Michael's role in the killing?
Honestly, the Decoder, Mr. Decoder, sir, it is messed up what happened to Kelly. She didn't deserve that. And you know, it's messed up that this has to be the reality for a lot of kids and a lot of families out there. You know what I'm saying? All because people can't control themselves. She didn't need to die. You had multiple affairs. You were satisfying yourself already. But it wasn't enough. You wanted her money too? Sick stomach, man. Sick belly. Now that little girl grew up. Even though it wasn't her dad, she thought it was her dad or whatever the case may be. You know, she's 5 years old, fine. And she said the person had on a mask, cool. But she witnessed that. Because when it was done, she said she went and freaking wrapped her, she went and hugged her mom's leg. Like, come on, that the lady was covered up. And it looked like they walked into the house with her covered up. They didn't explain that in the story, but what if it was maybe the little girl who covered her? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't, yo, that's crazy. Kids had to grow up without their mama and without both of them. That's the messed up part. You did all of that. You weren't even thinking that you were trying to kill your kids too. How dare you? They didn't ask to be here. How does that make any sense? And you thought you was gonna get away with $1 million? You really thought that? I'm glad them find you. Oh, it's just I'm glad them find him. And it's like, do people even do insurance schemes and stuff like that still? Like, as far as, you know, life insurance? Like, people, that's not figured out yet? Like, come on. Until next time, guys, that story was very moving. It's very sad. And I really hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves out there. Don't forget to watch the signs or whatever the case may be. And, you know, stand up in what you believe in. You know, a lot of us, we settle for things, you know. Myself, you know, it is what it is. You get what I'm saying? But don't take no abuse. 2025, let the abuse stop. Let the killing of these women stop. They're carrying your children. They're changing their lives and their bodies for you guys. And that's what she got in the end. She didn't have to meet you. She didn't have to bring your kids. She was in New York. You know what they do in New York. It's legal. She didn't have to have your kids. And that's the payment that she got. Wow, God rest your soul, Kelly. That's it for today, guys. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It kind of messed up my mood a little bit, but stay tuned for more coming. And I hope you guys have a happy holidays. I'll see you later.
Time is of the essence. Every time when you pass my